It feels like life is now more of a joke than a tragedy. I remember when I started this channel, I was talking about how life is a tragedy. I mean, look at my name. And I do still think it's a tragedy, but I think it's more of a joke now because when you really look at it, when you really break down life in this society and the systems we have to live through and societal expectations, it's a joke. It's a complete and utter joke. Now, whether it be macro or micro, and when I say macro, I mean, we all know how much of a joke it is having to go to work for 8-10 hours a day for 40 years. We all know how much of a joke that is. But even on a micro level, things like the way we interact, the things that we consider to be normal, things that we do subconsciously and we don't even realize it, there are so many things about this existence that is a complete and utter joke. And these days I can't help but laugh. There are so many concepts about life that are just insanely hypocritical and contradictory. And one example I can think of off the top of my head is, you know how people say life is short, so spend your time enjoying it? That's something that people typically say, but how are you supposed to do that when about 70% of your life is doing something that you don't want to do? Whether it be school, whether it be work, whether it be job interviews, whether it be commuting, the vast majority of our lives is spent doing things we don't want. And this is not meant to be complaining, because I feel like I've already complained about this enough. But to me, it's just laughable how society says one thing, but then you know it's not realistic, you know it's not reality. It's not even just with jobs and school. Again, it's commuting, it's waiting in long lines, waiting for your food at the restaurant, waiting at the DMV so you can get your driver's license, waiting at the hospital for 6 hours just for them to not call your name anyway. Even on a micro level, a good chunk of our time is just completely wasted. And technically you could add sleep to that as well, although I like my sleep. I can definitely see how people would be like, yo, this is a waste of time, because you're not really doing anything when you sleep. But personally, I like my sleep, I like my dreaming, so I'm not going to include it. But there's just so many things that just completely waste your time in this world. It's just absurd. How are you supposed to live life to the fullest when most of it is just gone by default, just because you exist in this society? Now, when it comes to societal expectations, you guys know my opinion about this. It's all just a bunch of BS. But what makes these societal expectations even relevant is the amount of people that are judgmental. Because let's be real here, right? If it weren't for people judging us and making fun of us, we wouldn't care about these expectations. We wouldn't care about someone calling us a loser because we live with our parents or something. It's precisely because humans are so judgmental and critical of you. And that's why these expectations are relevant. To me, the concept of everyone just collectively agreeing that this is the way to live is a complete joke. So that's why these days I don't really mind when people are judgy about me, or when I just see judgmental people in general saying, you did not match this societal expectation, you're a loser. You know, when I see people saying that these days, I just laugh it off. Because we're not all supposed to be the same. And it's very interesting because in the West, we all preach individuality. It's not like Japan or South Korea where everyone is expected to be the same. You know, in those places, people are not allowed to express themselves. You know, they all just have to live in one specific way. Go to school, do well in school, go to university, and then get a job at a prestigious company, and then work that job until you die. But in the West, we have more room for changing things up. And even with that, you still have so many judgmental people. Oh, you're not living life this way, you're a loser. It's just absurd. It's kind of contradictory too. And if you use social media, I highly recommend you to stop using social media. Social media is the breeding ground for the majority of judgment and toxicity. People just wake up and are like, alright, what should I tweet today? What should I post on Reddit? And then they make a post targeting people, judging people for living a certain way. People that have no effect on them whatsoever. People that don't bother them. It makes them feel better about themselves to judge random people. And it's pretty sad. This is why I don't use any sort of social media besides YouTube. Because if you use any of these other ones, it's just pure toxicity. And that includes Discord, Reddit, Twitter, Facebook, all of these sites. I know a lot of Redditors like to say, oh, we're different, we're not like other social media. Yeah, it is actually. Matter of fact, Reddit is probably the worst. And one thing I noticed about social media is just the amount of people that care about such trivial things. Every post I see is something so ridiculously trivial. Either it's trivial or something that they could easily just Google. But people want to be heard. And the amount of people that use social media and talk to random people that they don't know, it just shows how lonely people are. Because I'm at the point where I don't even talk to anyone online that I don't know. Obviously besides my YouTube channel's comment section, but besides that, and a few other YouTubers' comment section that make videos similar to mine. Besides that, I do not comment on any YouTube videos. I do not use Reddit, I do not use Discord. Discord is a joke, man. Like, if you're using Discord to talk to random people you don't know, nothing really wrong with you, nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, personally, I've outgrown that era. I just do not see the appeal of talking to people that do not understand me and never will understand me. And that applies to real life as well, of course. But Discord in particular, I just don't see the purpose. There's so many people in Discord servers full of people they don't know, talking to people they don't know, and man, I remember being a kid and I used to be that guy. I used to go in random chat rooms online, Reddit, Discord, and I don't even know why I did it now that I think about it. I am pretty satisfied just being alone and being myself and enjoying my hobbies on my own free time. And it seems so many people in this world just cannot do that. They're always focused on what the next man is doing. They're always trying to judge people. They're always trying to form meaningless connections out of internet friends. I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but a lot of this shit that we do in this world is just so trivial, man. We waste so much of our time worrying about dumb things like drama, social media drama. Oh, this politician did this politician did that. Does anyone else see how absurd this is? When I come home from work, or when I have a day off, I am not gonna sit there on Reddit or Discord or look up news articles about what's happening in society. I do not care. When I'm not at work and I have my own free time, I'm gonna do the things I enjoy, whether it be sleeping, making videos, or just relaxing, listening to music, skateboarding, something I enjoy. And yet so many people seem to have a different mindset. They'll clock off of their shift, come home, get into arguments over Twitter, make troll Reddit posts for karma, a pretty much worthless number, or troll people's comment section on YouTube, like a lot of my haters do. But when it comes to more social constructs, that's the ultimate joke. And one thing I talked about with my brother the other day, we talked about the concept of names. Because to me, names is the definition of a social construct that has no meaning. Just something that we created for ourselves. Why do we distinguish male names from female names? Why is it that a man cannot be called a female's name, and they're given some generic male name? People that don't think would be like, well, because that's a female name. Well, that's not my point. My point is that what does it really matter at the end of the day? What's gonna happen if you call a man by a girl name, and vice versa? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And then the funny thing is, you have a few names that both men and women typically have, and it's like, If we can collectively agree that these names are for both genders, and there is no real reason behind that, we just said, okay, these names are okay for both. That's it. So if we can collectively agree to that, then what's the point of gendering names to begin with? It doesn't make any sense. And it's the same thing with like colors. Why is pink considered to be a feminine color? Pink and purple. You see what I'm saying? We're making up useless things that don't mean anything. I also really despise how this society treats necessities as something to flaunt and show off. When it comes to necessities like clothes or cars and stuff, things that you pretty much need, houses, apartments, shoes, food, all of this stuff, we separated it into class. Oh, these kind of clothes, they're for trashy people, they're for homeless people. Oh, that, they're for professional people. Do you guys see how dumb this is? You know, from what I understand, clothes were just supposed to be something that human beings created to cover themselves, whether it be cover themselves from weather or just covering themselves from others. That's the point of clothes, isn't it? But no, society says, oh no, it's not just clothes, it's a status symbol. Which in turn obviously makes so many people insecure about the way they dress. Guys, do I look stylish? Guys, do I look nice, presentable? It's like, dude, it's just clothes, man. Why does this society have to, make these things such a big deal? And yet you have people being made fun of for wearing certain clothes and not wearing the latest brands and stuff. It's the same thing with cars, Look at my car. My car is a cool car. Oh no, that car is ugly. It's like, dude, a car is meant for getting from point A to point B. It's just that simple. We don't have to make it deeper than it really is. People will literally judge you because of the car that you drive, or the clothes that you wear. And in some cases, even the food you eat. It's like we took these basic survival tools and turned them into status symbols. This is a one-of-a-kind thing that only human beings can do. It's just pure stupidity how human beings work sometimes, man. And want to know the dumbest part about this? So many people tried to fit in and be accepted into society by doing whatever. And the crazy thing is, as much as you try to blend in, you're going to realize quickly, no one cares at all. Congratulations, you moved out your parents' house. You make a lot of money in a high-paying job. You have nice clothes, you do all these things that society says you should do. And you're still not going to be fulfilled. Why? Because you're chasing after a dream that isn't yours. You're chasing after a dream that society says you should chase. That's why. Once you realize that all of these things that you spent chasing and now you're technically supposed to be fulfilled, you made it, right? You made it. Good job. Meanwhile, no one else cares. The most you'll get is a damn good job. That's all you get. And the world keeps spinning. But a lot of people, instead of realizing this, instead of being like, wait, that's it? And instead of going through self-reflection and figuring out what they really want out of life, instead, what do? They go online and judge people. You're a loser. You still do this. You still do that. You're a loser. Or they compare themselves with other people, who again also don't care about them. I don't really have much more to say because I feel like I'm gonna be ranting forever. This video was kind of just all over the place though, I'm not gonna lie. But that's fine, I don't really care, as long as you guys enjoy it. But yeah, that's all I gotta say for today. So yeah, see ya.